Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of DGS2 Case 2. We just finished talking to Mr. Garrideb about his accounts and what happened last night, and we learned some stuff about gas lamps. Well, Naruhodō says it's not relevant, but I'm pretty sure it will be later on, because why would we even ask about it in this game, you know what I mean? So anyway, at this point, we are now going to head to... As soon as I remember how to go somewhere, okay. We're going to go see Mr. Souseki. Because, I mean, we should tell him the news, right? He's not dead. That's good, right? Alright, it's the same day, unspecified time, the detention center holding cell number 9.
Look, Naruhodō-sama. It seems that Souseki-sama is finally done with his questioning.
Substitute exchange student Naruhodō!
Is this picking up the yeah, it is. Okay, I was like, is this picking up the game? Yes.
Is he a ghost? Some sort of evil spirit come to curse me?
Would the person you're referring to happen to be Home-san?
Home-sama refers to himself as a famous detective.
Thanks to his accursed deductions, I once again find myself... what a cursed life I lead!
Poor Souseki. Kinda hurts to hear him refer to that as a curse.
We're so happy to participate, weren't you, Naruhodō-sama, in that deduction?
Now. But I do have some good news.
Oh?
The victim, who we thought dead, came back to life.
So even in the very worst case scenario, you'd only be charged with attempted murder. I guess that's something to be grateful for, right, Souseki-san?
Not a chance!
Huh?
If it were, why am I here? You did it, didn't you? Fess up, murderous wretch. What's with that mustache anyway? No, I don't!
Souseki-san.
What a selfish victim! If he was just going to come back to life, he might as well not have bothered dying in the first place. How indecisive!
There's a good chance he was never dead in the first place.
But, well, I suppose it's a good thing that he's alive again. Our furious debate last night was fun. I'd be sad if he had ended up going out like that.
Huh?
Oops.
Souseki-san? Does this mean that last night you met Potensi-san, the victim?
I'm keeping my trap shut. I need you to defend me!
I already said I would. Souseki-san, you've got to talk to me.
My life is cursed.
Alright, poor Souseki, you have to tell the truth. I mean, hiding is not gonna help you. I know it sucks, but you gotta tell me. The attack. Now then, would you please tell me what happened last night?
Needless to say, I'm so grateful for everything you did for me during that cursed trial.
The incident where Viridian-san was stabbed out on the walkway in front of Souseki-san's boarding house.
I can't believe it was only yesterday.
When the trial was over, I trudged back home to my boarding house. That night, I believe it was after 9 that I went and visited Mr. Potensi.
You went to the victim's room.
I thought so.
No, I didn't do anything to him! Last night was the first time that I had ever visited that gentleman's room.
So, what made you decide to do that?
When I got back to the lodging house, our casual conversation happened to evolve into a debate. He'd been on his way out the door, so we parted then.
I think the landlord confirmed that. He said that the victim came home after 8.
My visit was around 9 p.m. I brought some tea as a gift.
Oh boy. So you brought the tea that was at the crime scene.
Then, did you two proceed to have a literary debate about the works of Shakespeare?
We certainly did. You're quite perceptive. Who is stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It turned out to be a truly fascinating debate.
Oh my!
Long live Shakespeare!
So you didn't happen to get so worked up over your debate that you poisoned his tea, did you?
No, that's a definite no! I scored a win for Team Juliet, and when I left Mr. Potensi's room, that pleasant gentleman was alive! I swear it before the gods!
Your cursed life. You keep working that word in wherever you can, don't you, Souseki-san? Cursed.
That's true. I feel as though we discussed this before, but... in the years since I came to the Great British Empire, I've realized that I don't belong here.
It sounds as though you simply couldn't get accustomed to living overseas.
I'm surrounded by foreigners at all sides, and they're all laughing at me. That's how I felt, so I grew afraid of going outside. Eventually, I just holed up in my room, and even that didn't assuage my nerves. I moved more times than I could count, and finally, 1 week ago, I arrived at that lodging house.
But what made you choose that room of all places? It looked a little inconvenient.
The rent was cheap enough that it surprised even someone as impoverished as me.
The rent.
There was a reason for that, of course, because it was cursed.
Cursed? How do you mean?
Actually, the previous tenant in the room where I live now had just died.
Oh! Why did you go into a room where the last person died? Also, oh my god, Garrideb! Why is your place this awful? Oh my god.
He was still a young man, and yet he simply died a mysterious death one morning, I heard.
A history like that hardly makes it an attractive place to live. Exactly.
When the realtor went to recommend that lodging house to me, he hesitated just for a moment. But my desire to be able to afford books welcomed the place precisely because of that history. And so I signed the contract that very day, quick as a bolt of lightning.
Was that bravery or something else?
But once I had moved in, then I realized. What a history it was!
History?
History.
So, what sort of history did the boarding house have?
The first thing I noticed was the staring, like someone was always watching me.
Couldn't that have been, your imagination?
At the very least, it was not in my head. I had the locks on my room changed, and since then I keep having nightmares.
Nightmares? So you mean you've been having bad dreams?
The people who died in that room come after me in my sleep and smother me!
That sounds unpleasant.
Come to think of it, it happened again last night. While Mr. Potensi was writhing in pain from the lethal poison, I was also dying quietly at the hands of those ghosts!
I definitely advise you to get out of that room as quickly as possible.
I was thinking the very same thing. Therefore, I'm now searching for my next room with a new history.
It might be for the best if you forgot about the history part. If you don't, you might end up as history yourself.
Looks like that phrase she just said was very effective.
Actually, Mr. Landlord is concerned about the boarding house's curse as well.
You mean Garrideb-san?
After all, if all is said and sleeve in pine boxes, eventually he's going to run out of takers.
That's true. I sure don't want to rent any of those rooms.
Perhaps. The reason Garrideb-sama checks on the status of his boarders with the gas lamp flames is
to check whether all his boarders are safe, you think? You can tell the status of the other floors based on the amount of gas flowing through the boarding house's gas pipes. But without a reason, there'd be no need to worry about that.
What's all this about the gas lamp flames?
No, it's nothing you need to worry about, Souseki-sama.
No matter how you slice it, it definitely sounds like something that I need to be worried about.
In any case, the victim, Potensi-san, is still alive. As soon as he wakes up and we can ask him what happened, you'll be able to get out of here.
I really hope so.
May I interrupt? Detective Gregson! In regards to what you were just discussing, I have some good news and some bad news. Also, Gregson, you are very cooperative in this case. What the heck?
Huh?
What do you want to hear first?
Obviously, I'd prefer to start with the bad news. Save the hopeful news for last. That's my life's motto.
Alright, in that case, I'll be giving you the good news first. Wow, Gregson, you troll!
Huh?
It's just that telling you the good news first will speed things along.
In that case, you might as well not have asked me in the first place.
Right? The victim just regained consciousness a moment ago. We were there for that terrifying moment. We're filling out his affidavit. Why is also English hard? Affidavit under doctor supervision right now.
Well, isn't that great, Souseki-sama?
Oh, so that means that these strange suspicions should be cleared up and I can go home.
Can't let you do that, I'm afraid.
Huh?
Why not?
Mr. Potenchi accused a certain someone of the attack last night.
Certain someone. Accused?
Don't tell me.
That's right. It was you, Mr. Natsume.
But...
I nearly lost my life last night to that sweet poison. And the cat responsible was Souseki Natsume.
What?
That's gotta be a lie. So, you'll be judged in court just as planned. You best be prepared. You best prepare yourself.
Yeah. Yes, sir!
That face! Oh, poor Souseki. And so, Souseki-san found himself in the defendant's chair once more. Whether it was due to a curse or just plain bad luck, the path I'd chosen won't change. I'll stand in court tomorrow and break Souseki-san free from his curse. To be continued! We are continuing. We have about 15 minutes left on this thing. So we'll get a little bit of the trial on here. Don't save. It's February 22nd, 9:23 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Lobby. Oh boy. Old Bailey Courthouse. It's got its usual indefinable air. Undefinable? There's this chill that penetrates to the depths of my insides, and yet it carries a tinge of warmth. I don't think I'd be back here so soon.
That's my line! Good morning!
Souseki-san, good morning.
It's only been 2 days since I was declared innocent in this courthouse.
The incident where Viridian-san was stabbed in the back, huh?
And yet... Yesterday a new incident occurred, and now here we are. All with incredible speed!
That's true. Curse might be the most fitting way to describe him.
Naruhodō-sama, something terrible has happened. Well now, Souseki-sama, good morning.
Good morning.
Good luck today.
I'll be counting on you.
Susato?
So, what terrible thing has happened now, Legal Aid Mikotoba?
Oh dear, you heard that.
You said it in such a loud, terrified voice, it practically jolted its way to my ears!
Oh, I'm very sorry.
It's alright, Susato-san. Just tell us what happened.
The prosecutor in today's trial, is apparently Lord Baroque Van Zieks.
Lord Van Zieks?
What?
Oh boy. Poor Natsume! He's a legendary prosecutor who goes by the fearsome moniker, the Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. 2 days ago, Souseki-san and I found ourselves cornered countless times by the Grim Reaper's relentless pursuit. And he somehow managed to win a not guilty verdict in the end, but
perhaps that wasn't the end of it. After all.
Yes, I remember. There's that legend. Defendants in trials that Lord Van Zieks prosecutes never make it out alive.
Yes, even if they are declared not guilty, they ultimately come to a mysterious end.
That's right, and we witnessed that senseless conclusion once. The The terrifying fate of one defendant we defended. What a flashback!
I'd hope never to be glared at by those icy eyes of his again. Is the cursed one me, or the evil spirits, or even the Grim Reaper? I'm likely done for!
Likely done for. I can't help getting the sense that you're expecting it.
Substitute exchange student Naruhodō!
Yes!
I'm innocent! Please believe me! You, if no one else!
Yes, I understand. I'll believe and fight for you to the bitter end, and that's a promise. Sure, it'll be another rough battle. Don't worry, Souseki, we believe in you.
Now then. It's almost time for the court to convene. Let's make our way to the courtroom.
Right.
Come to think of it, he never did show up, did he? Home-sama, I mean.
Maybe it's better that he's not here.
Huh?
If I see him, I might try to depend on him for backup. The second I let such feelings of weakness surface, our hopes of winning go down the drain. That's what I feel like, anyway.
Naruhodō-sama.
That's precisely right. That's exactly what I was thinking. Well said, substitute exchange student Naruhodō.
I'll sync up this katana containing Asogi's soul, and fight a battle that brings pride to the status of defense attorneys from the great Japanese Empire.
Right!
It's Naruhodō! Oh, what a precious babby. Oh, back in the courtroom. The same day, 9:40 a.m., the Old Bailey Supreme Court.
Now then, I now declare court in session in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. Are both the prosecution and defense prepared?
The prosecution is ready.
The defense is ready.
What you need is not readiness, Japanese boy. It is the resolve to accept a guilty verdict. How about no? I thought so. I can definitely feel it. It's not just my imagination. Lord Van Zeek's intense animosity towards us Japanese.
Baroque Van Zeek's days of being called the Grim Reaper are in the past. Apparently for the last 2 years he's been away from the court and hasn't prosecuted any cases.
And yet, he suddenly returned, of all times, when I began defending. The legendary Grim Reaper awaits the Japanese. He's a prosecutor who's shrouded in mystery, but... in any case, for now I need to focus on the case.
And are you ready as well? 6 jurors selected from the citizens of the Imperial City.
Of course. I thought his supposed innocence was suspect.
I'm even more cruel on days when the angle of my hat doesn't look good!
Oh, in that case, I'd like to try being crushed under your heel.
What?
I have an executive meeting at 10. I'd appreciate it if we could just forget this whole trial business.
I'm with her. If I don't make 15 shillings today, I'm gonna be in for it.
Oh, Lord. Please lead this lost lamb towards the right verdict.
A jury of 6. We don't have this system in our country.
Also notice that they are all the same jurors from case 4. They're back except for Mrs. Garrideb, obviously.
In the great British courts, it's these 6 citizens who have the absolute power to declare a verdict. When their votes become unanimous, a final verdict is handed down.
These 6 people selected randomly from among the citizens of the Imperial City of London, huh? Incidentally, the defendant just stood another trial 2 days ago. Therefore, we gathered as many of the same jurors as possible for this trial.
Now then, let us commence with the trial.
Isn't it like biased though? Like they're biased already from the last trial.
Lord Van Zeeks, your opening statement, please.
Jurors, it is not my intention to blame you. However, this is the result of the not guilty verdict you handed down to this Japanese man 2 days ago. Rather than repenting of his wrongs and setting himself upon the path of righteousness, the defendant has now committed a fearsome crime against the Imperial City. He attempted to murder an innocent English lodger. Also something I was told way after I was recording, streaming and stuff, but apparently they changed the color of Baroque's cloak? I haven't gone back to the first game to look, but apparently they changed the color to be a little bit more green, I guess? Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Oh, I guess the cloak's off now. The detective in charge of the crime scene and the defendant himself. Oh boy, the mustache duo. Witnesses, your names and occupation.
Sir, Tobias Gregson. I am a detective in the Homicide Division of Scotland Yard.
Pardon, Souseki.
I'm Natsume Souseki. I was ordered by the government to study the English language and came here as an exchange student.
Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
As I recall, you made a pledge to this court, did you not? That you would never again find yourself in this position. I remember it as if it was only yesterday.
In actuality, this occurred 2 days ago, so one might as well say it occurred yesterday.
It's not as if I'm here by my own choice.
Now then, detective, please begin with a description of the facts of the case.
Yes, your lordship.
The crime took place at the defendant's boarding house, the boarding house of Mr. Garrideb, the landlord, on the 1st floor. It was in the room of the victim, Mr. William Potensi, that the crime occurred. The defendant was admitting to visiting Mr. Potensi's room that night. As admitted, the victim collapsed in his own room due to the ingestion of a deadly poison known as strychnine. Oh, I got it right! I said it right! The next morning, the landlord felt that something was amiss, broke the lock on the door to the room, and discovered the crime.
So, when the crime occurred, the room was locked, correct?
Indeed, the door to the crime scene was locked from the inside, preventing anyone from coming or going.
Although the victim, Mr. Potensi, somehow managed to survive. I believe we wouldn't be remiss to say that he was on the brink of death. Additionally, as I have visited the scene of the crime myself, this is a photo of the situation at the crime scene just after it was discovered. My goodness, he certainly looks dead, doesn't he? Yes, the two who discovered the crime were certain of it at the time. Very well, the court accepts this photo into evidence.
Crime scene photo. A photo taken by the police showing the crime scene. The victim lost consciousness due to a deadly poison.
By the way, defendant,
Yes, sir!
Do you have anything you'd like to say on your own behalf?
That boarding house is cursed by an evil spirit!
What? An evil spirit?
There's been a string of baffling incidents at our boarding house. Before I moved in, one boarder died, a mysterious death. Then, a woman was stabbed in front of the place. Now my neighbor has been poisoned, and then there's me! I might not look it, but I've nearly died several times.
Nearly died? What do you mean?
It happened again on the night of the murder. I just returned from Mr. Potenzi's room. I turned my gas stove way up and curled up in bed. Then, a little while later, I noticed that at some point the flame on my gas stove went out, and unbeknownst to anyone, I began to die.
It's always safest to turn off your gas stove before you go to sleep.
But it's frigid, so cold it could freeze a dripping nose. In any case, for someone shivering as hard as I was to poison his neighbor... just how deep does this curse run?
That's fine. I believe we have a general understanding of the situation.
By the way, there is one point in this case that can be considered critical.
Critical?
The victim, Mr. Potenzi, has already regained consciousness and indicted the true culprit. The deadly poison was in the tea he consumed that night, and this tea was served to him by none other than the violent defendant.
What?
Rubble, 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 rubble.
Order!
He's right. That's the most important point of this case. Souseki-san really is innocent. Then why would the victim accuse him of such a thing? It's a lie!
Well, defendant, do you have anything to say in regards to this accusation?
That night, I admit that I did bring some hot tea to his room as a token of goodwill. The plumbing had frozen, so I had to go and buy the water, heat it up. And yet, this is what happens! I'll never make tea again as long as I live!
The plumbing had frozen? That's the first we've heard of this, isn't it?
That's enough. In English trials, the defense has the right to conduct a cross-examination at least once. The court requests that the witnesses testify. I trust that you have no objections, Lord Van Zeeks.
As you wish.
The defendant will testify about his actions on the night of the crime.
Yes, Your Honor!
And we are going to hear his testimony in the next video since we are now out of time. So I will see you guys then.